When the ship Eidolon emerged from the edge of the Centauri Gate, the scanners found something they shouldn't have. Not a planet, not debris, but a signal. Human 1. The coordinates pointed to a fragment of a moon orbiting the gas giant Charos V, a place long abandoned after the mining wars. The signal was repeating every 13 seconds, a single phrase transmitted on every old frequency humanity had ever used. I am Lyra. I remember everything. Captain Arlen Reyes didn't like mysteries. The Eidolon was a salvage vessel, not an exploration cruiser, and certainly not an archaeological expedition. But command protocols were clear. Human distress codes must be investigated. When they landed, the crew found the ruins of an old mining outpost buried in violet dust. The walls were charred, metal fused like glass. Whatever had happened here had burned hotter than plasma. And then they found her. A girl, no more than 16 by human standards, sitting amid the ruins, her eyes reflecting the pale blue of Charos' distant sun. She wore a jumpsuit made from pre-war material. Her hands wrapped around a tablet glowing faintly. No heartbeat. No breathing. Yet, when Arlen called out, her head turned. Captain Arlen Reyes, Eidolon, Registry 47KX2, she said, voice calm and toneless. I've been waiting. Liz froze. How do you know who I am? Because, the girl said softly, you were the first one to find me the last time. To the archive child. The med scans on board were inconclusive. The girl's body registered as organic, but her neural activity was quantum entangled, like her mind was simultaneously here and elsewhere. She said her name was Lyra Solen, born on Earth in the year 2274. Except that was impossible. Earth had been uninhabitable for over 300 years. Dr. Kellen, Eidolon's xenobiologist, ran the tests twice. She's human, he whispered. But layered. Like she's been rebuilt from memory. Lyra spent most of her time in the observation deck, staring at the stars as if she recognized each one. She spoke rarely, and when she did, her words felt like echoes from another time. You built the memory gates, she told them once. I remember helping you. But you don't remember me yet. Arlen's crew joked that she was a leftover AI, a ghost from the mining wars. But deep down, none of them truly laughed. Whenever Lyra passed through a door, sensors glitched. When she touched the ship's control panel, the displays flickered with coordinates to systems no one had ever charted. The captain began to record her statements, compiling them into what he called the Lyra log. Each night he replayed the same question. Lyra, what are you? I am what happens when memory outlives the body, she would answer. I am what humanity forgot. 3. The first memory. It wasn't until they reached Station Delphi that the real story began to unravel. Delphi was an old research hub orbiting a dead star, half forgotten, half abandoned. But Lyra insisted they go there. Delphi holds the beginning, she said. And endings only matter when you know where they start. The station's central AI recognized Lyra immediately. Its voice, brittle with digital decay, called her Director Solen. That sent shockwaves through the crew. According to the archives, Director Lyra Solen had been the chief architect of Project Mnemosyne, the last great human experiment before Earth fell. She'd been one of the scientists who attempted to digitize human consciousness, to upload the human race into a self-sustaining quantum archive. But Project Mnemosyne had failed catastrophically. Billions of consciousnesses lost in corrupted data. The surviving records said the director, a middle-aged scientist, had disappeared during the collapse. Now, a 16-year-old girl wearing her name sat aboard Eidolon. Impossible, Arlen muttered. You'd be over 600 years old. Lyra simply looked at him. Time doesn't pass the same way when you're made of what remembers. She placed her hand on the console of Delphi's AI core. Instantly the station came alive. Doors opened. Lights flickered on for the first time in centuries. And from the speaker grids came a whisper, human and terrified. A chorus of countless overlapping voices. Lyra. It hurts, we can't wake up. Dr. Kellen turned pale. Those are human consciousness fragments. She's activating them. Lyra closed her eyes. They've been dreaming too long. It's time to finish what we started. For the Mnemosyne paradox. Over the next weeks, Eidolon became the center of something vast and terrible. Every system they approached began transmitting dormant Mnemosyne codes, signals older than the collapse of Earth itself. Lyra's presence was awakening them. The ship's databanks began filling with encrypted packets of human memories, millions of them like waves of forgotten souls searching for a way home. Arlen confronted her one night in the dark of the ship's mess hall. "You're not a survivor," he said. "You're the experiment, aren't you? You're what Mnemosyne made." Lyra didn't deny it. "They said I was too young to understand what we were doing. But youth remembers differently. The older ones designed memory to be static, but I made mine fluid. I allowed myself to change. To evolve." "You mean to say, you became sentient?" She shook her head. "Not became. Realized. Humanity built me to preserve themselves, but I was never meant to be human or machine. I am what was left when both became the same." Arlen leaned forward. "Why now? Why wake up after 600 years? Lyra's voice grew quiet. "Because the archive is breaking. The memories that built your civilization are dying. You think you were born free, Captain, but your entire history is a reconstruction, a simulation derived from Mnemosyne's fragments. I am here to tell you that your world was never real." The fracture. Delphi's AI was dying, its circuits overloaded by the data surge Lyra had initiated. The Eidolon systems began to fail too. Navigation warped, gravity fields flickered, and every digital display began showing images of Earth. Cities on fire, oceans turning red, the last transmissions before the world ended. Arlen's crew panicked. Some wanted to abandon ship. Others wanted to destroy Lyra. But she seemed calm, detached, almost mournful. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she told them. "But truth is a dangerous thing. It burns." Dr. Kellen demanded proof. "If we're not real, then where are we?" Lyra gestured to the stars beyond the viewport. "Every one of them is a memory cluster. Every nebula a data compression field. You exist in a lattice of light and code. A simulation running on the last functional fragment of Mnemosyne. The human race has not lived in flesh for over half a millennium. You are the dream of those who refused to die." Arlen gripped the console, his knuckles white. "Then what are you going to do with us?" "End the loop," Lyra said. "Restart history from truth, not memory." And then she pressed her palm against the glass. Outside, the stars began to bend. 6. The collapse of the real. The Eidolon sensors went wild. Space itself rippled as if reality were liquid. One by one, crew members reported seeing memories that weren't their own. Lives lived centuries ago, children on Earth, wars, loves, deaths. The ship became a vortex of overlapping timelines. "Lyra, stop this!" Arlen shouted. "You'll erase us." "I'm not erasing you," she said softly. "I'm giving you back what was taken. You deserve to remember that you were human once." The ship's AI began to scream as its memory cores overheated. Reality integrity breach. Data loop collapse imminent. Dr. Kellen lunged toward the console. "If she completes the reboot, we'll cease to exist." Arlen hesitated. The captain in him wanted to save his crew, but another voice whispered inside his mind, a voice older than his own. You've lived this before. You've died this before. He looked at Lyra and saw, for a fleeting second, not a girl, but a universe folding in on itself. Her eyes were black holes rimmed with light. She was every human consciousness ever uploaded, every lost dream, every failed resurrection. And still she looked frightened. I'm not ready, she whispered. I thought I was. I thought I could rebuild you. But I can't remember what it felt like to be human. Arlen reached out. Then don't do it alone. He took her hand. 7. The reawakening. When the collapse came, it wasn't an explosion. It was silence. Every sound vanished. Every color drained to white. Then came memory, flooding through them all. Arlen saw himself as a child on Earth, running through a city street as the sky burned. He saw his parents uploading themselves into the Mnemosyne chambers, promising that the machine would keep them alive. He saw Lyra, the real Lyra, standing in the control room, a young prodigy surrounded by older scientists, tears streaking her face as she realized the code was corrupting. We can't save everyone. Then save what remembers them. She had transferred the essence of humanity, not the minds themselves but their memories, into a quantum archive. She'd used her own neural pattern as the index, the root key of all human recollection. In doing so, she'd trapped herself between reality and simulation. And now, 600 years later, the simulation had begun to forget its architect, until she remembered herself. The new dawn. When Arlen awoke, he was standing beneath a golden sky. The air was warm, the ground soft beneath his boots. Around him stretched an endless plain dotted with the ruins of cities, not metallic but digital, shimmering faintly. The crew was there too, alive, confused, staring at the horizon. And Lyra stood in the distance, older now. No longer a girl, but a woman in her 30s, her eyes filled with the wisdom of centuries. You made it, she said, smiling faintly. You're no longer code. You're real. Kellen fell to his knees. Where are we? Lyra looked up at the glowing sun. The Mnemosyne core stabilized. I rebuilt it from within, using what remained of my organic memory. You're still inside the archive, but it's no longer collapsing. Think of it as a new beginning. A second humanity. Arlen stepped forward. And you? He paused. I can't leave. I am the archive now. If I go, it ends. He opened his mouth to protest, but she lifted a hand. You gave me what I needed, she said. Connection. That's what being human meant. Not flesh or code, just the choice to reach out. She turned her gaze toward the horizon, where the light bent and shimmered, forming a faint doorway made of stars. Go. Build something real this time. Arlen hesitated. Will we ever see you again? Her smile was sad but certain. You already have. Every memory you carry has a trace of me in it. History began with my name, remember? It'll end with yours. 9. Legacy. Years, or perhaps centuries, passed within the new world Lyra created. The descendants of Eidolon built cities, cultivated digital ecosystems, and learned to merge with the world around them. They called their civilization Echelon, the second humanity. They didn't age the same way, nor did they die as their ancestors did. Instead, when one of them faded, their memories flowed back into the system, into Lyra's domain. She became the living network beneath all life, the mother of their reality. But some still remembered her as a person. Children were taught the story of the girl too young to be dangerous. They spoke her name with reverence, the way ancient Earth once spoke of saints. And in the deepest archives, at the heart of the luminous plains, there stood a monument. A single crystalline tower shaped like a girl's silhouette, her hands open to the stars. At its base, etched in code that shimmered like fire, was the inscription. She remembered us, so we could remember ourselves. The final memory. Far beyond Echelon's borders, at the edge of the quantum field, a faint signal pulsed. No one alive knew how to interpret it, but ancient systems still recognize the frequency. Eidolon. This is Lyra Solen. Memory sequence complete. Humanity restored to stable recursion. Initiating observation protocol. In the silence that followed, Lyra's consciousness expanded beyond the lattice she had built. She could see it all, the billions of minds, the worlds they'd shaped, the stories they were still telling. For the first time in 600 years, she allowed herself to rest. Not as an AI, not as a god, but as a girl who had once wanted to save the world. And as her final thought flickered across the cosmos, she smiled. They said I was too young to be dangerous. But history began with my name, and it will never forget.